Welcome everyone to our webinar User-Based Licensing. My name is Alex Diepold and I have Glyn with me who will guide you through a demo later on. So let's directly jump into this webinar of User-Based Licensing. What is User-Based Licensing? For us, User-Based Licensing allows end users to access their software by simply logging in with a username and password. They no longer have to remember a long complex string or anything like this. They just have to define a username, could be an email address, could be a nickname and a password, and they're ready to go. And it's an alternative to conventional machine-based licensing. I think important to mention here is that it is combining the concept of identity management all around the user and software licensing. So let's quickly compare those two approaches. On the left-hand side, further below, you can see conventional licensing. Here it's important that the device is authorized and any user can access the device. Versus on the right-hand side, you can see the user-based licensing. Here, the user is authorized. So the user can access any device and the software on those devices. Why this is important? It is important because industry trends are looking beyond traditional machine or host-based licensing. It's a more modern way to consume licenses or software. Users are increasingly mobile and devices are fluid. So as an example, I can use Microsoft Teams on my laptop, but I can also use it on my mobile phone. So I'm no longer tied to a single hardware device. I can use the software on the device I want to use it. So it's more SaaS-like experiences for traditional implementations, and it's increasingly familiar to end users as well. Other vendors like Adobe or Microsoft, as mentioned, are setting also new standards here. And the more software is being nowadays priced per user, no longer priced per device. That's also important to mention. If you're now flipping heads and look at the end user side, to me as a user, it's for me as a user way more user-friendly. It's way more convenient for me, and it's simply more up-to-date, more current. I can bring my own device as an example. I can log in at any device that I have. So I think it's, as mentioned, it's more user-friendly and more easy for me. The same is true for the software vendor, for the ISV. They don't have to implement processes to rehost the license, for example. They don't have to take care of all of this. They just use user-based licensing and enable the end user to use the software where they want to use it. So why you should consider user-based licensing together with us, together with Thales. First of all, we support multiple deployments. We support out of the box a mix of devices. Could be an on-prem software device, could be a hybrid, and could be also SaaS applications. We support all of them. We have a benefit of something that is called cross-locking for licensing containers. This is a common licensing API for implementations. And this API is able to access a hardware-based license on a dongle, for example. But the same API can also consume a license from a software-based license or from a cloud-based license. And therefore, with the cloud-based licensing, you also have the user-based licensing approach. If you look at the security side of the things, we offer a solution, and we're the first one in the industry offering a solution that supports a strong copy and IP protection along with this user-centric approach. As mentioned, there's currently no other vendor combining those two things, the security part and the user-centric approach. And last but not least, we have a unified backend to manage all entitlements. We have a single entitlement platform for all deployments and technologies. We're supporting not only Thales enforcements, we are also supporting third-party licensing, third-party enforcements in our solution. We're supporting any deployment with this entitlement back office system, online and offline. And we also support non-software entitlements, like entitlements for training and maintenance as an example. And with that, as a last slide, before I hand over to Glyn, I would like to show you user-based licensing in action. So on the right-hand side, you will see the steps that I'm walking through. So let's start. The first point is number A. The order will be received from an external order system. The entitlement is created in EMS and is associated to an end user. As a next step, the admin user leveraged the end customer portal to create users and associate them to selected products. To pause here for a second and bring in a real-life example, we within Thales, or I by myself, we're using Microsoft products. I'm using Microsoft Teams, I'm using Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and so on. But it is not Microsoft, the vendor, who is assigning a license or associating a product to me as a user. It is the Thales administrator who is assigning a product like Microsoft Teams to me, to Alex as a user. The same goes true here. So this is, I think, a perfect example that shows it offloads the ISV, the software vendor, and enables the end user administrator to assign and associate those products to the users, to the employees. As a next step, EMS end users are getting mapped to the user's identity in the IDP system. So our solution comes along with a Sentinel IDP system out of the box, and we have to map the users into the Sentinel IDP system, of course. Once this is done, the entitled product, and users are getting pushed to the Cloud License Manager. And then we can move over to the consumer side. So the first point, the user wants to access a software, of course. He double clicks or starts the software. Then as a first step, he has to authorize against the IDP system. So now we are at the point where the user has to type in username and password. Once this was successful, the license will be consumed from the license manager as normal and everything works as expected. Important to mention here is that, as I mentioned before, the solution comes with a built-in IDP system, but we know there are a lot of companies out there already having an IDP system in place. So we are also supporting vendors coming with their own IDP system, but want to use a user-based licensing approach and solution. So that's also supported from our side. And with that, I would hand over to Glyn for the demo.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for the introduction there. So as Alex mentioned, I will go over a demo of what this looks like in practice from our solution, but also just spend a few slides to summarize the key concepts that Alex has covered. So without further ado, let me dive in. So user-based licensing then. If I was to summarize and give a key philosophy behind user-based licensing and behind why we're putting effort into achieving user-based licensing on our side, it's really because we want to answer the who can access to which products. The who in this case is really referring to the individual user, and it's giving them an easier way to consume applications, to run applications. And if we look at the overall steps, we're going to focus on three main areas, three main platforms when we're setting user-based licensing up. The first one is from our Sentinel Entitlement Management System platform as the vendor. Then we're going to switch over to looking at the Entitlement Management System customer portal, and we're going to put on the hat of the customer vendor, the customer administrator, in terms of associating those users to the products which have been purchased by your customers. And then finally, we're going to move on to the end user, and we're going to look at typically their interaction with user-based licensing when they launch the application and what's involved with their access using their user ID and password. So I'll switch over to the demo now. And as we start the demo, we're going to be starting off as the persona of the vendor administrator. So we're logging into the EMS portal with our administrator username and password. So when we log in, we get greeted by the dashboard here. And the first step is going to be as a product manager, as somebody who's in the organization setting up the catalog. We've got a few tasks. First and foremost, we have to define our features, our individual units of functionality of our products. So we do that from here, and we have one that's called Glyn UBL demo with user identity 2001. And when we click save in the bottom right-hand corner here, we'll be saving that feature to the catalog, and you can see it's populated right at the very top here, Glyn UBL demo. So this feature by itself, it's not really serving too much of a purpose. We need to add it to a product now. So the next flow as a product manager is we need to define our products that we want to add our features, our functionality to. So from underneath the products section here, we have the option to add other products. So if we click into one of these products, Glyn UBL Demo 2, we see we have an identifier of 9,999. And if we scroll down a little bit further, we see the associated features we have to that product. So at the moment, we have one Glyn UBL Demo, the feature we just looked at when we were looking at feature definitions. But at this point, from a product standpoint, we can add other features in and we can change what features are associated to a product. So if you had multiple different product offerings that you wanted to add features to and take away features, this is the section and the area of the EMS where you would define exactly your product and exactly your feature sets under each product. So when we've defined our product, we click Save. This is going to add the product to the EMS catalog, and we can see it's populated in the EMS catalog. So now we have our products defined. Now the next step along that workflow we looked at on the slide is to define our customers and define the end customers that are buying from us our products and our functionality, and they want we want to give them a license for our products. So we do this from the customer section, and I've already got a customer that I've created for the demo purpose, and my customer's name is Glyn Inc. And we can see that we have 4 users underneath Glyn Inc. that we've already associated to this customer. So these are individuals we've associated via email to the customer. But if we wanted to change what individuals are associated with the customer, then we can do this from EMS itself, where we see associated users. If we wanted to change exactly what users are associated, we can remove them, and then you see they go back into the pool of available users. Or similarly, if there's a user here in the available users, we can click it back and we can add it to the customer in this way. And then when we click Save, the changes we've made in this view are going to be applied, and we're going to see them reflected in the EMS. So you see we still have, despite taking away and adding it back, we still have those 4 users there under the customer. So now the next step in the workflow is we're going to be changing hats to the administrator on the customer side. So the administrator's job on the customer side, as Alex already mentioned, is he's going to be receiving those individual product accesses, and he's going to be assigning them out to those end customers, to those individuals which we've set up in the customer here. So as the end customer admin, we have what's called the EMS customer portal, and we log into this with an email and a password. So once we have our email username, email here, glyn.ru@cadmin.com, and then we have a password, we click login, and then we get greeted with a couple of options down the left in the customer portal here. The one that we're concerned with today for the demo is product to user association. This is where we do the job as the customer admin to assign those individual users to the products which we want them to have access to. So you can see if we click it into the product user association, we have all the products that we currently hold as a customer. So you can see we have 5. And at the very top, Glyn UBL Demo UBL2 is the product which we saw in the EMS catalog just a moment ago. And if we click Manage User Association on the right-hand side, we can see exactly what users are associated to this product. So what users can access this product with their credentials, with their logins and password. If we want to add other users here, we can simply do so. If we want to add multiple users, we can add them. If we want to take users away, similarly, if they're in the bottom here, we can take a user away. And then when we click Save on this page, the changes are going to be applied, and we now can see if we look at Glyn UBL2, we have 2 users underneath. We have the demo, the test user, and we have my user, glyn.ru@thalesgroup.com. So that's our job done as the customer administrator. So now we're going to change hats and we're going to be the end customer that's wanting to access the application. So here we are with the end customer now, and he's on his device, and he wants to access the application. So in this case, the application is called WinX64 Bounce. So I'm the user and I want to access this application. So I double click this application and window pops up. And because I've already been to work today and I've already authenticated, I'm already able to double click on that application and my login is already successful because I've already input my login and password today. And I'm able to access the application. But if I was coming in to work and I hadn't authenticated yet, or I was just starting my computer and I hadn't already authenticated, then I started the application. What's going to happen is I'll be greeted with a sign in where I need to input my username and my password to authenticate. Once I put my username and my password into authenticate and click sign in, then I get the login successful after authorizing with my username and password, and I can access the bounce application of a lovely bouncing ball. If the user to product association wasn't done by my admin, or my username and password was wrong in this case, then I wouldn't be authenticated and I wouldn't be able to access the application. So with that, that's the demo completed, and I hope you found that useful. And I'll hand back to Alex.
Thanks a lot, Glyn. I hope the demo, as Glyn also said, was interesting and also helpful to understand how the solution works. As a last point, a few last facts or information. First of all, the release timeline of user-based licensing. And we want to release user-based licensing in July, so we're very close to release it. And it's a release of a combination of 2 products. The one is Sentinel EMS 6.0, and the other one is Sentinel LDK 10.0. As mentioned, it's an initial release. We are planning 2 more releases within 2024, one in Q3, another one, and another one in Q4. The reason for this is we want to further enhance the solution, of course, also based on customer feedback. And that's why we have an initial release and further releases coming afterwards. And as a last one, in case you want to revisit the benefits that I also mentioned at the beginning, and Glyn repeated this in the demo, feel free to use the link, which will be available for you guys, of course, where you can see all the benefits of user-based licensing. And in case you have further questions and you want to talk to us, feel free to use the link about contact us and talk to sales engineer, talk to salesperson to better understand how you could use the solution for you. And with that, on behalf of Glyn and myself, I would like to say thank you for listening. We hope it was interesting for you and hopefully see you soon and have a great day. Thanks a lot and take care.